Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap up, the WNW 309 for Friday, November 10th, 2017. Donald Trump is over in Asia. The most important part of any Asian trip is China. And, Donald Trump, leave it to him to work a deal. Let's just go right here with this. Trump slams China for unfair trade, but praises Xi, blames predecessors, unveils a $250 billion in deals. I actually watched his speech. He was very disarming to the Chinese. He was saying, we have an outrageous off-balance trade deficit. And he says, I don't blame China. I don't blame China for cutting a deal that benefits the Chinese people. I blame Congress, and I blame the people in former administrations for allowing this to happen. And then he pushes the $250 billion in deals. And people in the audience, when he said, I don't blame China for cutting a deal that is advantageous to the Chinese people, they started laughing. Very disarming. It's like, come on. I mean, this is hundreds of billions of dollars annually in trade deals that aren't working. In case you haven't figured out, I'm coming to you from a farm in Missouri. I'll talk to you a little bit about the crops and how it worked out this year. Not bad. Not great news or shaking news, but I'll talk about that. I will say that Donald Trump is out of the country right now, and he's making threats to North Korea while he's over in Asia. He's saying, don't test us. We have overwhelming power. I think there's 3 carrier groups there. He mentioned there's even a state-of-the-art nuclear submarine there. But I don't think anything will happen while he's out of the country. And he's talking to China about, hey, come on, you got to get this taken care of. But I think that what is weird is this: Pentagon puts military bases on alert, ABC News, and they're talking about a credible source down there, not a specific, but a credible source about attacking U.S. military bases. Again, I don't think the president will initiate or order any action while he's out of the country. But I will say that I think he's serious. Remember, Jim Rickards came on and said that, a lot of people think we're not serious and we're bluffing. We are serious and we're not bluffing when it comes to North Korea. So I don't know what is going on in the background there and why our bases are on high alert. Also, some bizarre things going on in the Middle East. I mean, you heard about, the purge that netted $800 billion. Talk about that in just a second. But, Saudi king may relinquish throne to crown prince within 48 hours. Now, this is King Solomon could elevate his son, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, to the throne at any moment. Some people say bin Salman has just taken the throne. They also they had a big corruption crackdown, netted them $800 billion. There was a story out on Zero Hedge that talked about, the real reason why they did it is their coffers are low, and they needed to do it. Also, there's some bizarre things. Saudi is recalling people from Jordan. Israel and Saudi Arabia are looking like they're teaming up for some type of military action. Saudi Arabia also accused Iran of this missile attack that was done on him. It was thwarted by U.S. technology, U.S. Patriot missiles, I believe. But it came from Houthi rebels in Yemen. Of course, Iranians back the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Iranians back Hezbollah, which are quite powerful, they say, Hezbollah in Jordan. And, the end result with Iran is to basically wipe out Israel. I mean, their supreme leader wrote a book about how to do that. So it used to be always, you're just misinterpreting the Iranians on that. No, he wrote a book about how to do that. And that's, that is in the cards. And why would the Saudis, Muslims, be worried about the Iranians? Well, Shia, Iran, Sunni, that's about 90% of the Arab world. And they, the Sunnis are scared of the Shia. The Shia are basically the Persians. They're brilliant. In history, they've rarely lost wars, the Shia Muslims, the Persians. And so is more war going to happen in the Middle East? I don't know. But some bizarre things are going on. Maybe that's why the market opened up, both the bond market and the stock market opened up, down. Gregory Mannarino called me and said, this is bizarre, man. I'll talk about that in just a minute. They're blaming it on the tax, the Senate leaks of the the details of the simplified, quote unquote, they're being sarcastic, Senate tax bill will have 7 tax brackets, scraps all the SALT deductions. That's the writing your state taxes off, your taxes off against your federal taxes. Now, in places like Texas where there is no state income tax, I don't care. Places like New York where the state income tax is, I don't know, near 10%. California, I believe it's 13%. Other states, it's 6-7%. I think North Carolina, it's 7%. You can't write that off against your state taxes. Of course, the people in the Senate and the House say that, oh, well, we're going to have these bigger standard deductions, and you're going to have, more deductions. But people in these states are going to complain about this. And the other thing is this is supposed to be a simplified version in the Senate. And it's 450 pages. Remember Trump talking about how you want to put this on a postcard. You want to put this on one page. Everybody gets a tax cut. Yes, we'll wipe out some deductions, but everybody's going to get a tax cut. All the bracket, 450 pages in the Senate. Listen, they had a disaster with Obamacare, which they ran on for 7 years. We're going to repeal and replace it. We're going to repeal it. Never did. They've now the Republicans have now done a disaster about the tax cut on their hands. And you know who I blame? I blame the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, and I blame the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, who are deep state, basically New World Order swamp creatures that love the mud and the money, and they are overtly and covertly trying to sabotage the Trump agenda and the Trump mandate given to him by his overwhelming victory in the presidential election of 2016. McConnell and Ryan both need to be fired, both need to go. You can't tell me that the Senate Majority Leader will allow a bill to come out with 450 pages and complications that are unbelievable. This is what I'm hearing on the air. People tried to read the bill. They've gotten about halfway through and their eyes are crossing over. And I blame Mitch McConnell. That's leadership, folks. I blame Mitch McConnell for the Obamacare failure. He couldn't count to 50. He didn't know he didn't have 50 votes. He took a vote and sat there and said, well, we tried. Now, the Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin saying, well, the corporate tax cut may be put off. Sabotage. They need one now. They need to get the economy going. That's what Trump ran on, getting the economy going, not 1.4% or 1.8% or 1% growth. No, real growth. That's why he's cutting regulations. But who is basically overtly and covertly basically sabotaging him? Yes, people in his own party. Hold on, I dropped something. Let me get this too. This is going to be one of the stories I really want to talk about. I want to go into this real too, and more talking about sabotage. So there are Congress people in Congress that say, hey, Robert Mueller is going too far. He's totally conflicted, which he is. I think he committed crimes by allowing the Uranium One deal to go through after, a 3 or 4 year investigation that Mueller was in charge of. Real Russian spies, collusion, bribery, kickback, the cornering of the Iranian market, the access that Hillary Clinton was giving people when she was Secretary of State. Oh, not a story, not a problem. Uranium One goes through. Well, the yellow cake will never leave the country. It did. And yet he is his first round of indictments have nothing to do with what he was put in place for as special prosecutor, and that was to go after Russian collusion and them upsetting our elections in 2016, which they didn't. I don't think. I think that's all just total BS. His very first indictments, Paul Manafort and others, nothing to do with Russian collusion. A tax case. It's just unbelievable. So Representative Getz, I think that's what he's saying, he's saying that, unaccountable special prosecutor with clear conflicts of interest puts America at risk of a coup d'etat. What is Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, speaking of overtly and covertly sabotaging Donald Trump? Oh, no, we need to let Robert Mueller do his work. Oh, really? He's totally conflicted. He's covering up the fact, I think, he committed treason by allowing the Russians to get a hold of 1/5 of our uranium production when he knew and had inside information and had people on the inside with records, documents, papers, emails, a case to prove that real Russian spies were trying to take control of our uranium. And boy, they did. And Paul Ryan is, oh, no, we don't need any resolutions. We don't need to ask Robert Mueller, the former FBI director, to step down. Oh, no. Swamp creature. Paul Ryan, weasel. He's all for open borders, and he's got an 8-foot wall around his house. Unbelievable. His personal residence in his home state. After story that gets very little attention, and that is the LAPD. They are investigating what Corey Haim after filing a report. Says it's a whole ring of people. A lot of these stories are getting put on the back pages. Just like Donna Brazell, former head of the DNC, writes a book and says the elections were rigged and that the hinky stuff was done with the money. Other stuff in the book that she dedicates it to Seth Rich, the IT staffer that was murdered. I just thought that was a random robbery. And then she was talking about after Seth Rich died that she worried about her physical safety, drawing the blinds shut in her house. Whoa, that's not a story though to the mainstream media. This is the former head of the DNC. But Roy Moore and some possible contact with underage girls 33 years ago, who was the candidate for the Senate in Alabama, who beat Strange, the other Republican, and Republicans were out in full force against him. Now they're out. Oh, Roy Moore should step down. He denies all the charges. All the women say no sex ever took place. No sexual assault ever took place. No sex ever took place. I don't know if it's true or not, but you would think that Donna Brazell and the head of DNC might just, focus a little higher, being she said she was in fear of her life after Seth Rich died, and that we have a huge special prosecutor investigation going on, which I think is total BS, that Mueller never has gotten a hold of the DNC servers or said, were they destroyed? Did he get a hold of them? Did he look at them? A third party did this. And it's just unbelievable. Meanwhile, the markets are sold off hard in Thursday morning. Manarino called me and said, woo, I'll tell you, this is bizarre. Both the stock market and the bond market, boom, sold off at the open. He said, I don't think it has anything to do with the Senate thing. Maybe some, but no, something's going on. This was a plan that they did at the beginning that started, and he says, listen, if this is a real market, this whole thing will be rolling over right now. And you got to ask yourself, Chris Martenson was on, he says, you have to ask yourself why the powers that be are scared to death, I'm almost over my cold, scared to death of a 2% correction, which Manarino tells me we haven't had a time where we haven't had a 2% correction. This has been good. This is like a record for the last multiple decades. Unbelievable. He'll talk about that in the early Sunday release. Gregory Manarino, TradersChoice.net. He says, if this is a real market, this would be rolling over with both the bond market and the stock market, taking a hit on Thursday morning. Something else I want to cover, too, about my emails. And for you folks out there that have donated money via PayPal and I haven't written you back, please don't feel bad that I haven't written you back. I have written everybody back. There's a guy, Fred, he gives $2 every month, and every month I write Fred back because I appreciate everybody that helps me. Not a lot of money, but I appreciate anybody that helps me. And I send emails back. Well, now, because of this email attack where some weasel got a hold of my email, and this is on the server side, and it was an obscure email that I've now just deleted. It sent out 40,000 emails. Now, every email from @USA Watchdog, Greg @USA Watchdog, info @USA Watchdog, anybody I try to send an email, hey, thanks, hits their server bank, either Gmail or AT&T or Yahoo, and it's spam, porno. This is not a trusted email anymore. So I'm working that out. But I did want to tell you, I haven't sent out thank yous, but I have, but they just haven't gotten to you, and it's because of this hack. Which is what the weasel hackers wanted to do, was to, upset and cause me problems and make me spend more time and money on fixing, problems and attacks in the back end of my site, which I don't like to talk about. But this one I have to, because people are like, well, I've given before. Greg Hunter didn't even bother thanking me. Oh, I did. It just bounced back to me. And so, I just wanted to, bring that up. And I wanted to thank all of you for donating to USA Watchdog. Please keep doing it. It helps us. I want to thank you all for all your comments. Got really smart people out there. A lot of really smart people. Good information in the comment section. And just some bizarre stuff is coming on. I'm getting and that's something I can't really report in the weekly news wrap-up. Just my contacts are saying bizarre things are coming up. It's starting to bubble out, with the military bases being on high alert. But just something weird is going on. Don't know what it is, and I don't like to normally say this because I don't want to be, crying wolf, but I want to thank you again for supporting USAWatchdog.com. And just remember, don't be afraid. That's what they want. That's what the weasels and New World Order, Luciferians, the weasels out there want you to be afraid. They want you to succumb. They want you to give up. They want to shake your faith. Don't. Fear not. Prepare yourself mentally, physically, above all spiritually. Fear not. God the Father and His Son, Jesus Christ, are firmly in charge. And, one last thing before I sign off, the crop report. Not much to say about the crop report. Was it a great year? Nah. A lot of drought problems, rain problems in the beginning, drought problems in the middle. Some crops got, record crops. They hit it right. Other crops got plowed under and they made an insurance claim. I'd say overall, just in the Midwest here, kind of an average year for crops. Average. Some people high, some people low, but an average year. Not a disaster, and not a bumper year by any stretch of the imagination for most people. And so that's the crop report. Same old. Okay, decent crop report. And again, prepare yourself mentally, physically, above all spiritually. Fear not. God the Father and His Son Jesus Christ are firmly in charge. There it is.